Hello everyone, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, let's get started. So this would be our second session. So let's have a small recap of what we have discussed yesterday. So yesterday we have discussed about what is virtual machine and what is physical machine. And we have seen the difference between them, what would be the virtual machine and what would be the physical machine. And we have seen where we are going to, where are these servers are created. So the servers will be created in two places, that would on premise and then cloud. So in IT world, the servers will be created in on premise and the cloud. And we have discussed about what is on premise and what is cloud, and we have seen the difference between the on premise and cloud. So when it is on premise, so the data center is owned by your organization and you have the whole infrastructure, and there will be a whole maintenance team and manage team which is going to manage your on-premise data center. If it is the cloud, so there is no need of you to have any data center. So there are cloud providers which are like AWS, Azure, and then GCP. So they will take care of the whole data centers, and we have to create an account and use the services which are provided by the cloud providers. So when we are using the services which are given by the cloud, so we have to pay them. So there will be a charge for the services we are using in the AWS. And we have discussed about the advantages of on-premise versus cloud. So if you are owning your own applications, then the on-premise would be the best option. That means if your products are your own products, that products are going to be there with you for the long run, the on-premise would be the better one. Or else if you are serving some clients, and for the clients you are creating infrastructure. So if you are creating the infrastructure for the clients, then the better option would be the cloud. And we discussed about operating systems. So the popular operating systems in the IT world, when you speak about servers, those are Windows and Linux. So Linux is the most popular servers which are used in the IT world. So around 96% of the servers in the IT world are Linux servers. Even the supercomputers are made up of using the Linux operating system. So Linux have that much of weightage in the server world or IT industry. And then we have discussed about kinds of interface for servers. We have two kind of interfaces. The first one would be GUI, graphical user interface, and then command line interface. So for the servers, so there will be two interfaces, GUI and CLI. In the IT world, when you are hosting your applications, you will be using only the CLI one. You won't be using graphical user interface. But for Windows, you have both GUI and CLI, like your laptop is having the graphical user interface and it has the command line interface also, same like your PowerShell. For Windows servers in the IT world, you have the GUI. But for the Linux servers, you won't be having any GUI. You have to use command line interface. And then we have discussed about how Linux operating systems works internally. So in Linux, whenever you are trying to enter something on the CLI will go and speak with the kernel which is running inside your operating system, and then it will speak with the hardware, and hardware return backs to the kernel, and then the kernel provides the output to the CLI. So whenever you type some command on the command line interface, so this would be the process which will be internally followed. Your command line will go and speak with the kernel stating that someone has run the command on the CLI. The kernel will go and speak with the hardware for the command which is ran on the CLI, and hardware provides the output again back to the kernel, and kernel provides the output again back to the CLI. So this is how our Linux works internally. Any Linux operating system. So there are lot of operating systems based upon Linux. So Linux is not a kernel. Sorry, Linux is not an operating system. So Linux is not an operating system. So what is Linux? It is a kernel developed by a guy called Linus Torvalds. So he is the man who developed this Linux kernel, and on top of it there are lot of operating systems using this kernel as the internal part. So those operating systems are Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS, and we have lot of operating systems from Amazon as well. Amazon Linux 2. So these are all the Linux based operating system that uses Linux as the kernel inside it. But each operating system you are seeing here have their own customization depending upon how they have created. So yesterday we have created one Ubuntu server and we have discussed few Linux commands there. So we have created a Linux server in AWS. Specifically it is Ubuntu server. We have created one Ubuntu server in AWS, and then we have started practicing our Linux commands. So this is the whole recap of the yesterday's session. So if you go to the yesterday's document, so this is what we have discussed. So virtual machines, where the servers are created on premise and cloud, and we provided a link where you can find how to create AWS free tier account. This is your YouTube link. You can find the video and you can create a AWS free tier account by using that. And we have discussed about operating systems, and we have discussed about interfaces, and we have discussed about how Linux works internally. And for to work on any operating system, you must know these 5 mandatory managements. And we have created a server, and we have discussed about the Linux commands. So today we are going to discuss about how to do CRUD operations in a Linux server. So what is CRUD? Create, read, update and delete. So on a Linux server, you must know how to create something, how to read something, how to update something and how to delete something. So if you want to create a file or a folder in a Linux server, so we have the commands called touch and you have to provide the file name. So touch is going to create a file for us. And if you want to create a folder, so if you remember, like we spoke about, folder is treated as a directory in the Linux. So there is a command called mkdir, that means make directory and your folder name. And if you want to read the content in a file, there is something called cat and the file name, which is going to provide you the content in the file. And if you want to delete a file, the Linux command would be rm and the file name. So if you want to remove a folder, the command would be rm-rf and the folder name. So what is R? R means recursive. F means force delete. You can use F or you may not use F. If you are unable to delete the folder, you can use F. F is nothing but force delete. F stands for force delete. You can use R. If you are unable to delete, you can delete with the -F flag, which is force delete. So let us try to practice these four operations, like creating and reading the content, removing the file and then removing the folder. So to practice this, so I need a server. So I will be going to AWS. And I will log into my AWS account and then I will create a server. This would be my mail ID and then password. Okay, yesterday we have discussed how to create a server. So in AWS, the server is called as EC2, Elastic Cloud Compute. So search for EC2. You will be seeing a service which is EC2. If you look at the drop down here, EC2 is a virtual servers in the cloud. And it will be routed you to EC2 dashboard, launch instance. So yesterday I have created one server. The server has been already terminated. I will show you like how to terminate the server today, and we will discuss about why we are terminating that as well. So I am creating a new server again with the name of DevOps Practice, and I will be using the operating system Ubuntu. And I am okay to go with the Ubuntu 22.04. And if I scroll down, so there has an instance type. I am going for T2 micro. It is free for use. And I have a key pair that we have created yesterday. So the key pair is to connect to the server. The key pair is to connect to the server. It acts as a password to connect to the server which you are creating just now. And the network settings, I will leave it as it is. I don't want to change that as of now. So the number of instances you want to create 1, and then click on launch instance. So just click on this hypertext. It will be routed you to the EC2 dashboard where you can see the newly created server. So this is the server we have created just now, and the instance state is pending. Let's wait for the instance state to be moved to the running state. Okay, now the instance is running. Just check the server, click on connect, go to SSH client. There will be a command which is provided to connect to the server. So we have to use a SSH client. So we are using git bash to connect to it. But when you are opening the git bash, you have to open it in a place where you have the key, which is our PEM file. So yesterday the PEM file got downloaded to the downloads path. Let me go to downloads, right click, open git bash here. So it has opened the git bash. Let me maximize. So here we have to use the command which is copied from the AWS console. So but before we connect to the server, so let us try to understand what is this command. Let us try to do some reverse engineering of what this command is doing. Try to decode this. So there is something called SSH. So what is SSH? SSH is a protocol where you have to use to connect to a Linux server. SSH means secure shell. So to connect to the Linux servers, you have to use a method called SSH. And then what is this -i and the devops.pem? So we are using a flag of -i, and we are passing the PEM file which is downloaded from the AWS as a password. So this PEM file acts as a password. And then what is this Ubuntu? So Ubuntu is a default user. Ubuntu is a default user created by AWS. So if you don't have the user and you have created the server, so then how can you log into it? So there is no way where you can log into the server. So when you have created a server, so there should be a user by which you can log into the server and you can do your activities. So when you are creating a Ubuntu operating system in the AWS, so there will be a default user created is Ubuntu. And then what is this EC235 and the IP address compute1.amazonaws.com? So it is nothing but a name given by AWS to the server instead of IP address. So it is same like your IP address, but it is a name given to the server you have created just now in the AWS to connect to the server. So do we need to use this name every time to connect to the server? It's our choice whether to use this name or whether to use the IP address. So when you want to connect to any Linux server, so we have to use a protocol of secure shell, and then you have to provide the PEM file as a password if you are using the key based authentication. If it is not, the command would be like SSH username at the rate IP address. So if you are not using the key based authentication, like you are passing your file as a password, you can use this format SSH username at the rate IP address, and then it will prompt you for a password. Then you have to provide the password. So first let us try to understand how to connect to the servers. Connect to the server. So if it is your laptop, username and password would be sufficient. So if you want to connect to your laptop, a username or password would be sufficient. But if you want to connect to a server from your laptop, is the username and password would be sufficient? Obviously no, because in the world there are lot of servers. So to which server you want to apply this username and password? How that can be defined? That can be defined by using IP address. So if you want to connect to a server, so you need username and password as well as the IP address of your server. So how can I get the IP address of a server? So first let us try to look at IP address of my laptop. So let me go to command prompt. So this is my command prompt, and if I do ipconfig, this is my IP address. IPv4 address is my IP address. And if you look at the default gateway, this is my modem IP. So let me try to get that. Default gateway, which is modem IP, and IPv4 address is my private IP. So this is my private IP. And there is one more IP which can be assigned to our computer, which is public IP. So let me show you that public IP as well. Go to your browser and search for what is my IP. Look at this. Your public IP address is 103.95.173.231. So public IP. So why we have these many IP addresses? So why we have these many IP addresses? So till 1995 we have only public IPs. Till 1995 we have only the public IPs. So let me try to visualize that. So for suppose, if you take example of your home, so in your home, if you have 5 devices, in your home, if you have 5 devices like multiple mobiles, so you may have multiple mobiles and each mobile is going to have an IP address, and you may have laptops, and you may have other electronic devices as well. So how we are going to get an internet to this? by using a internet service provider. Internet service provider. So internet service providers are nothing but who is giving or who is providing the internet access to you. So in our case, that can be any local internet service provider. That can be Geo, that can be Airtel, that can be BSNL, anything. Geo, Airtel, BSNL. So till 1995, so ISPs are going to assign a public IP to all the devices in your home. So when they found that the public IPs are going to exhaust, so they came up with a concept called NAT. So NAT is nothing but network address translation. So NAT is nothing but network address translation. So what happens in this network address translation? So there will be a modem given to you. There will be a modem, and this internet service provider is going to assign a IP, public IP. It is going to assign a public IP to your modem, and this modem will assign the private IP to all the devices in your home. So the modem will take care of assigning private IPs to your devices in your home. So when you want to communicate in your home between one server to another server, you can use the private IP. When you want to communicate between one server to another server. So in IT industry, everything is called as a server. So when you are trying to access something, Amazon.in. So your laptop is trying to communicate with the Amazon.in backend server, and that server is allowing you to see this page, then you are able to see this. So in IT world, there is everything happens with the communication between two servers. We will see the servers as a name, but on the back end, everything is a server. So if you want to communicate between in your network, so you will be using private IP. So if you want to go out from your house and if you want to connect to any other server outside your house, so you will be using public IP. So in your organization, you will be seeing both private IPs and public IPs. So if Amazon is running this Amazon.in on a public IP, we can't access this. Sorry, is on private IP, we can't access this. So Amazon is running this Amazon.in can be accessible to the outside world. So మీరు మీ అప్లికేషన్ outside world కి యాక్సెస్ చేయాలి అంటే, so you have to use public IP for your front end. This front end will go and speak with the backend servers. There you will be using your private IP addresses. So whatever is facing to the public, so you have to provide a public IP to that. So let us try to understand how internet works. So for suppose from my laptop, if I am trying to do Amazon.in in my browser. So Amazon.in is obviously a public domain. So on the backend, it is going to have a public IP. So how can my server know that IP address of the Amazon.in? So when you enter something here on your laptop as Amazon.in, so let us try to understand the flow. Let me increase the font size. So Amazon.in. So you are trying to fire Amazon.in. So your server or your laptop don't know, right? What is the IP address of Amazon.in? So what it is going to do? So it is going to go and check with your internet service provider. Let me try to use this. How internet works. When you fire Amazon.in in your laptop connects to the ISP provider for the IP address, because it don't know what IP address on the back end it has, but your ISP provider will know. Internet service provider will have the information of all the IPs of your DNS, and again it will come back to the modem with the IP. So it will connect to the ISP for the IP address. It will come back to the modem with the IP. When the IP is the public IP, when the IP is public IP, it tries to check in your home. If in your home it is not available, it will go to your ISP provider. So your ISP provider is not only connected to you, right? It is connected to all the other servers as well in your country. So ISP provider will check for the ISP fiber connection point or ISP exchange point. So if it is not within your ISP, so it will go for the exchange point. The exchange point is nothing but where all the ISP providers are connected. If you have multiple providers in your country, all the providers are going to connect to a single exchange point, or you can call it as peering point. And even if it is not available, for suppose if that Amazon.in servers are not available in your country, so what happens? So for all the countries in the world, there will be a network connection by using fiber exchange. So these are nothing but a large cables which are passing through the oceans. We call them as submarine cables. So there are submarine cables which are passed through the oceans to have a connection from one country to another country. So if it is in the US, so in the US also we are going to have the ISP, right? Or they will check with US fiber exchange point, and then it goes to ISP, and then modem, and then the Amazon.in server. So when you enter something in your browser on the back end, so this is the whole process which is going to happen. The whole process is going to happen. So from this ISP, so what happens? So it will come and check with the ISP exchange point. So ISP exchange point is something in your in your country, all the ISP providers are connected. ISP peering point. So if it is not available with any ISP, then it has to cross your country. So there are few fiber exchange points. Fiber exchange points in India to other world. Let me try to show you that. See, how is India connected to the internet? So there are few locations in India where we have fiber exchange points which is going to pass through all the world through the oceans by using submarine cables. So if these cables are not available, so we are not going to access the servers which are in the other countries. So by using this fiber exchange point, it will go to the US. And in US, first from the ISP, I don't want this. So from ISP, where this connection goes? The connection goes to fiber exchange point to the world in India. So from this fiber exchange point, if the servers are in US, so it will go to US fiber exchange. It will go to US fiber exchange. So again in the US there will be internet service providers, right? So from the US fiber exchange point, it will go to internet provider in the US, which is ISP. And from ISP, again the process is same. And from ISP, it will be the modem in which the servers are living in. And from modem to the server of Amazon.in. It will go to Amazon.in. So this is how the whole internet works. So when you are trying to access something in your browser, this is how the whole internet works. So I don't want you to go deeper into it, but it is the higher level of how the internet works. The only thing what we have to understand here is we have private IP and public IP. So if you want to communicate between the servers in your network. So if you have the servers in your organization, if you want to communicate between them, you will be using private IP. So if you want to communicate to the outside world, so you will be using public IP. So if you want to provide the public site to access it, then you have to use the public IP. So why we are using private IP for communication in the internal? So when you use private IP, the communication will be fast. Because when you try to run some private IP in your network, first it will try to check for the private IP in your home and then it will go out. But if you use the public IP, so it has to go to the outside world. Why it has to go to the outside world? Because it has to get the IP. There will be a DNS when you are trying to enter the Amazon.in in your laptop. So it must know the IP of this DNS. So it will go out of your home by using modem to the ISP to get the IP address of this DNS. So when it is coming out of your home, your connection is going out of your home when you are using the public DNS. That means there are chances of tampering. Your connection is going out. There are chances of tampering and it is a security issue. And also there will be latency. There will be latency because it has to go out and it has to come in with the IP address from the ISP provider. So to get rid of this latency and security in the organization, to communicate between your internal servers, we'll be using only the private IP. You won't be using the public IP. Okay, this is how the internet works. And when you try to connect to the server, there are two kinds of authentication. There are two kinds of authentication. So the first one would be password based. Password based. And the second one would be key based or passwordless authentication. So when you connect to the servers, there are two ways. One would be password based. That means you will be using username and password. And the second one would be key based or passwordless. So here you will be using some key based files, same like how we are using for the AWS. Key based files to connect to the server. So let us try to visualize that. How we can create a keyless based or key based or passwordless based authentication. So let me try to open new one. So if there are two servers, how we can connect with key based and how we can connect with password based. Let us try to understand that. Let us try to take a virtual machine image. So now we have the two servers, or you can take the first one as your laptop and the second one as your virtual machine. So I will call it as laptop, and the second one would be virtual machine. So you can connect to this virtual machine in two ways. The one way is by using username and password. So if you know the username and password, so you can connect to it by using username and password. Username, password. As it is a virtual machine, so what would be the extra thing required? IP address. So how can we connect? By using a command SSH username @ IP address. So this is password based authentication. Password based authentication. So there is next way, which is passwordless or key based authentication. So let me get this image. So you have the same laptop and you have the virtual machine, but here you are not going to use the password and the username. You are going to use the keys or the files to connect to the server. So if you want to do that, so you have to first create some keys in your laptop. So if you want to do the password less authentication or the key based authentication, so you have to create keys in your laptop, and then you have to copy the key to the server which you wanted to connect. So you have to do two things. First you have to create keys in your laptop, and then when you are creating the keys, so there will be two keys which are going to be created. One is public key and the another one is private key. You have to create keys. So when you are creating the keys, you will get two keys. The first one is public and another one is private. So once after you have created the keys, so you have to copy one key from this laptop to your virtual machine. So what can be that key? In the name itself it is there. Public key. So public key has to be copied to the server in which you wanted to connect from your laptop. In the name itself it is there. Private key is for your private stuff. And the public key is for the public. You can copy the key to the servers to which you wanted to connect. So once you have copied this public key to the virtual machine, and from after you can directly connect without the password by using a command of SSH username @ IP address. So once after the keys are copied, so there is no need of you to provide the password. You can directly connect from this laptop to the virtual machine without providing any password. So this would be helpful in the automation. So when you are doing some automation and you are running some scripts on behalf of you when you are not available. So for suppose you want to run some script midnight at 2 a.m. So if you have the password based authentication, so when your script is running from your laptop, so it will ask you for the password. So you have to wake up at 2 a.m. and then you have to provide the password and then you have to go for the sleep again. But when you have this key based authentication, when the keys are already exchanged, the script runs without any manual input. So what happens when you are running this command in your laptop? It will try to tally this private key with the public key in the virtual machine, and these two keys got matched. Then you are logged in into the server. Then you can log in into the server. So the same process of key based authentication is happening in the AWS as well. So we are passing key as a password. We are not creating any keys on your local laptop, but by default when we are creating the server, it is providing a key for us. It is providing a key for us. So we have to log into the server by using this PEM file. So yesterday we have logged into the server by using this command. Today let me try to show another way. SSH -i, 1 minute, SSH -i, I am passing this devops.pem as a password, and there is a user called Ubuntu in AWS, and now I am not going to use the host name. I am going to use the private IP or public IP. So which IP I have to use? If you look at the image that we have discussed, see, this is your Amazon server, this is your home laptop, and you have Amazon servers out of your home. So if you want to connect from your laptop to the Amazon, so we have to use the public domain. So in the same way, if you want to connect to the servers which are not in your home, so we have to use the public IP. So I will go to the instance. So in AWS, you can find the IP. If you check this server, scroll below, so you will be having the IPs here. So this is the public IP and this is the private IP. So I will be using the public IP because I am in the external world of the AWS. Copy, paste it. Do you want to connect? Yes, I want to connect. See, now I got connected. So there is no need of you to use the command or use the host name given by the AWS. You can use the IPs as well. You can use the IPs as well. See, this is the name, IPv4 DNS name, which is assigned to the server by the AWS. So this is used in your AWS connect command. When you're copying it from here, this is the host DNS name given to this server. So you can use this, or else you can use the public IP, because we are outside world of AWS servers. If you check this server, you will be getting the public IP. So now I am inside the server. So let us go with our CRUD operations. So let me clear the screen. The first operation I wanted to do is create a file. So before that, let me see what is my present path. To do that, I have to use pwd present working directory. I am under the home Ubuntu, and in here I want to create a file. Touch. I am calling it as devops.txt. So I have created a file. So how can I confirm that the file has been created or not? So I want to list the things in the Ubuntu folder. I can use ls-l. See, there is a file which is created by user Ubuntu, and it is devops.txt, and it is created just now, Feb 20, and 6:22 is the server time. And it is an empty file. The size of the file is empty. By using touch, we can create a file. So let me try to create a directory. mkdir. I want to create a directory with the name of my first directory. So if I do ls-l, so I will be having two items here. This is a file and this is a directory. So how can I confirm that it is a directory? It is starting with D. It is starting with D. Okay, and let me show you one more interesting thing. So by using cat, we have discussed that we can see the content in the file, right? So in the devops.txt there is no content. So let me get into a folder of etc. It is like your C drive folder. So here I have a lot of files, and then let me try to cat some file here. I'm trying to cat the file services. Cat and the file name. See? So without opening the file, it is showing the content. It has a lot of content in it. Cat services is going to provide you the whole content in your file. And if you want to provide the line numbers in the output by using cat, so you can do that with a command of cat-n and the file name. See how many lines this file has? 361 lines. So initially we don't have the line numbers. So now if we use -n, so we have the line numbers. So cat-n and the file name is going to print the content in your console with the line numbers. So let me try to document that. Cat-n file name. So let me get this down. And now let me again go back to my home Ubuntu folder. I am using cd, which is change directory, and clear my screen. Okay, let me do ls and ls-l. I have a file and I have a folder. So let me get into this folder and try to create some more files. So to get into folder, I have to change the directory and the directory name. So if I do cd and the file name, folder name, I am inside that folder and my pwd also got changed. So let me try to create some files here. Touch 1.txt, touch 2.txt, touch 3.txt. By using touch, I am creating multiple files. So there are couple of files created. So let me go back one folder by using cd dot dot. So now I am inside the Ubuntu folder. If I do ls-l, so there will be file and a folder. So let me try to remove this devops.txt. To remove, the command is rm devops.txt. So how can I confirm? If a list, that file should not be present. It is not here. So let me try to use rm for the directory as well and see what happens. See, I am using rm for my directory deletion and it is stating cannot remove because it is a directory. So when you want to remove directory, you have to use -r and then your folder name. So if you want to forcefully remove, you can use -f, that is going to remove the folder forcefully. -f is a flag for force remove. If I do enter, it is going to remove my directory. There is no content here. The folder has been deleted and the file has been deleted. This is how we can create the files and folders. So let us try to look at copy and move. So let me create file again. Let me create the screen first. And let me try to create a file with touch devops.txt. So I have a file now. I have a file. And now let me try to create a folder again. mkdir my first folder. If I do ls-l, I have the file and I have the folder. So now the devops.txt file is inside my Ubuntu folder. So if I do pwd ls-l, so this devops.txt file is under Ubuntu folder. So I want to copy this file from devops.txt to my first folder. How can we do that? So to copy, in Linux there is a command called cp and the source file and the destination. So you have to provide the source where your file is and then you have to provide the destination to which path you want to copy. And if you want to do the same for move also, it is mv. To move a file, it is mv source destination. So what is difference between them? So let us try to do this operation and see what would be the difference. So first I will do copy devops.txt. So the source is this file. So where I wanted to copy? I wanted to copy to this folder. So // is nothing but in the present path to the folder. Dot means you are telling that where is this my first folder present. In the present path it is dot. Dot is nothing but in the present path, you have this folder. So let me do enter. So if I do ls-l, so I have the devops.txt in the home Ubuntu, and it is also available in the my first folder. So when you use CP is going to have the copy in the both source and destination. So మీరు CP యూజ్ చేసి ఫైల్ ని కాపీ చేస్తుంటే, so the file will be available in both source and destination. But if it is move, the file will be moved from source to destination. The file won't be present here. So let us try to do that as well. So I am removing the DevOps file in the my first folder. So I don't have any file here. So I will go one folder backward, and here I have home Ubuntu, and I have the file and folder. So let me create the screen. I have the file and folder, and let me try to use move DevOps to my first folder. So if I say ls-l, it is not going to be available here. So it is moved to the my first folder. So that is the difference between source and destination when you are using copy and move commands. Okay. Now let us try to do one more activity on the file stuff. So let me go to etc, and in here we have seen the content of services file by using cat. So there are lot of lines in this file. There are a lot of lines in this file, but I want to see the output of only the 10 lines. So I want the content of the first 10 lines in this file. How can I do that? That can be done by using a command called head and file name. If I want to see the last 10 lines, that is tail file name. So let me show you that. Clear screen, and I am using head file name. The file name is services. See, now you are able to see only the first 10 lines. The head is printing the first 10 lines in your file. Let me use tail services. So it is going to print last 10 lines in your file. So by default, if you are not providing any line numbers, it is going to print 10. Print 10 lines from first. The same goes to tail as well. Print 10 lines from last. So if you want to print a specific number of lines, like if you want to print only the first 5 lines, you can use head-n, and if you want to print 5 lines, use 5 and the file name. The same goes with the tail as well. Tail-n 5 file name. So let me show you that. Head-n 5, and the file name is services. See, now we are getting only the first 5 lines. So if you look at here, we got 10 lines here. So here we got only 5 lines. So you can do the same for the tail as well. Tail-n f services. So head and tail are used for getting the number of lines from the file. It is your choice to provide how many lines you wanted to print. Okay. Now if you have a file in Windows, if you go to program files and if you get into folder JDK, get into some file, not this one. Let me try to create something. So I will create a file. Create a folder called test, and in here I will create a file with test.txt, and if I open this, let me go to Google, copy the content and try to paste it. So I have a lot of content in this file. So if I want to search, we'll be using Ctrl F, right? So if I want to search some words, I will be using Ctrl F, and then it will provide me all the words which are matching this all. But in case of Linux, if you want to search words in a file, so you will be using grep. You will be using grep, and then the word for the search word, and then the file name. So grep is going to search a word in the file. So let me go back to the server again. So in the services file, so I want to search for this. So I will be using grep and the word. So let me remove the other content copied. SGICAD, which is the word I wanted to search. In which file I wanted to search? Services. So look at this. So it has searched for that word and it has given the whole line. So by using grep, you can search for the words. So if it is case sensitive, we can use grep -i. -i is for case sensitive. It takes care of searching all the words, whether it is lowercase or uppercase. Grep I is going to search for all the words with both uppercase and lowercase. That is about searching a file. And we have discussed about create, and we have discussed about read. And in the read we have seen couple of options, like by using cat and by using head, and we have discussed about how to search for a file. And let us see how to download something from the internet in your Linux server. So if you want to download something from the internet in Linux, you have to use wget. So wget is a command which is going to help us in downloading the stuff from the internet. So let me go in here. For suppose if you want to install Git, let me go to the downloads link. So if it is the Windows, you will be directly copying it from here. But if it is for Linux, so you will try to copy this link, and by using wget, you will be downloading it. So you have to copy the link and you have to use the wget to download it. That is about how to download something from the internet by using link in the Linux. So let us try to look at two more commands for today. After this I will close the session. So there are cut and awk commands. So this would be helpful to cut the string. So these commands would be helpful to cut the string. String is nothing but if you have a date like 2024 02 and then today is 20. So if you have a string like the today's date, so if you want to cut this string by using the separator of hyphen. So ఈ hyphen ని మనం యూజ్ చేసి, so if you want to separate this string into pieces, the how many pieces you will get? You will get 3 pieces. 2024 is one piece, 02 is one piece, 20 is another piece. So if you want to cut a string in your automation operations, so when you are getting some output and from that output if you want to cut a string, you will be using this both cut and AWK commands. So let us try to understand them. So let me go to the server and let me enter a command called date. So date is going to provide the whole information of what is the time and which time it is taking and what is the today's date. So date is going to provide the date and time of the server. Date and time of the server. So what I am going to do is, so I will try to pass this date to a value. I will try to pass a date to a value called DATE. So let me go in here. Date equal to dollar. Sorry, my bad. So if I say echo, so echo is a command which is going to print the value. If I say dollar date, I'm getting empty. So I can use this echo dollar date. I think to discuss about this, you guys need to know about variables. So variables are not yet started. So let me do one thing. So let's discuss about this cut and awk later, because to understand about this cut and awk, so you have to understand about variables as well. So the variables are not yet discussed. So I will try to discuss about this cut and awk moving forward when we are discussing about variables. But for today, if you want to cut a string, so there are two commands which are available, which is cut and AWK. And there is one more command, find. So what find command is going to do is, so the find command is going to check the file in the path you are searching. So in the Windows, if you want to check a file, so there is no need of you to run something. You can get into the folder and you can see the file. But if it is not inside this folder, if you want to check it in the whole C drive, you are going to search here. But how that can be done in the Linux is by using find command. Let us go in here. So if I want to, I will come one folder backward. Let me clear the screen. Let me see pwd. Okay. Let me create touch devops.txt. So I have a file devops.txt in the folder of home Ubuntu. So if I have a lot of files in this folder, so if I want to search for this file, I can use find command. Find and the path where you wanted to search the file. I wanted to search in the path of home Ubuntu. And then what is the name of the file? You have to provide by using a flag of -name devops.txt. Enter. See, in the home Ubuntu folder, I have devops.txt, and in the my first folder, under the Ubuntu folder also I have devops.txt. So it will try to search for this file name in all the folders which are under the home Ubuntu. So by using find, you can search the files in your path. Find command helps us to search the files in the present path or else wherever you wanted to search. So the command would be find path -name and then the file name. Path to find and then -name is a flag and the file name. So till now we have seen how to create, how to read and how to delete. We have not discussed about update. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about update. Update is nothing but how we can edit a file. So till now we are creating files, looking at the content and showing some output from by using head and tail, and we are searching for a word in a file, and we have seen how to find a file in a path, but we have not seen how to open a file and how to add a content to a file and how to edit the file. So that is the update operation. So tomorrow we are going to look at the update operation. So if you guys are interested, so you can have the assignment. Look at how VI editor works in Linux. So try to look at VI editor works in Linux. So this is the assignment for you guys for today, and I am hoping that you guys have already created an AWS account. If not, please try to create it by today. And then the today's assignment is to look at how VI editor works in Linux. I will stop at this point. I will open the floor for queries. If you guys have any queries, you can raise it now. Okay, I will take it as no queries. And let me try to give you some more information regarding the nodes and all. So there is a mail in which we are going to get the whole information today. So this would be your today's mail. So you are going to get the GitHub link where you are going to see the everyday daily notes, and whatever we are discussing, the whole thing will goes into this repositories. So nothing is provided as a private. So everything is public. If you click on this link, it will route you to a GitHub repository where you can see my all the daily activities. So there is a notes which is already pushed for the yesterday's session, and today's notes also is going to be pushed. So you can find the scripts we are practicing, and you can find the notes, the rough notes I am creating it. That is regarding the notes. And then there will be a private playlist which is given. So this playlist you have to access with your email ID which you have provided to us. So look at this. So I'm trying to access the link by using my DevOps Surya mail ID. This mail ID doesn't have any access. It can see only one video, rest all the videos it can't see. See, two videos, two views. That means there are videos, but it is visible only for the people who have provided their mail IDs to me. So the access is restricted. So you have to log in with your same email ID you have given it to me, and the videos will be available. So this one I have made it as a public. So this can be seen by everyone. The rest all the session videos cannot be seen by anyone. Only you can see it. So you have to access it with your email IDs. That is regarding the video links. And also there is a Slack channel which is created, and you guys have already got the updates through the mail. So I see there are people who have already joined. So this is AWS DevOps, the Slack channel. So once you get into this, under the channel section, you will be seeing AWS DevOps. So try to put all your queries in this session and those will be answered. So if anyone knows the answer, so you are good to put your answers there, and you can have a discussion with the reporter who raised the issue as well. So that you guys can exchange your knowledge. It will be a KT, or the knowledge transfer. So you have the GitHub link where you can see my daily activities, and you have the recordings link in the mail, and the Slack channel you will be getting it through email. If anyone didn't got the Slack channel invitation, or if you are facing any issues with the Slack as well as with the GitHub and video recordings, please reach out to me through WhatsApp. I can resolve it. Okay.
Okay.